Hi, I'm Jason Barak with Unilumin USA, and I'm excited to be here down in Beaufort, Georgia today with my good friend Sean Harold with Form Volumes. Thanks so much for having us, Sean.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming down.
One of the things that's new with you guys this year is the launch of Form Volumes, which is pretty exciting. Can you tell me a little bit more what you guys are doing with Form Volumes?
Yeah, we just wanted to make something that was very quick turn. I think over the years we kind of figured out what is needed in a step and what isn't needed. But we want to make a system that's very simple but also flexible. So this year we came out with our new All-In-One Studio system. So it's one small network rack. Everything pre-configured from the hardware to the software to a Pixar license for 2D content to comes with your in-display config for your size wall for Unreal Engine. And these are just quick turns. It's something where we mainly use the UPatch 4, which is typically always stocked in Orlando. So technically we could probably have your wall up and running in 14 to 30 days because it's about a half-day install for the wall. We can do a day of training, a day or two of training, depending on if they want to use more Unreal Engine or if they're just doing more 2D kind of workflows. And then we have our network rack, which has all of our camera tracking, media servers, processing, Genlock, all that pre-configured.
So it sounds like you guys have kind of figured everything out for people. So it's essentially virtual production in a box.
And for us, because we also have a studio, I think we kind of know what is needed, what isn't. And then we also kind of set these base level things that we feel like our system should have. I think one with UPatch 4, a product where you can shoot any kind of frame rate. Where if I want to do 2396 drop frame, or if I want to shoot straight 24, not being an issue with that. Having something that is a high refresh rate, 70-60 hertz refresh rate on this wall. I think having at least 116 scan or faster on the wall. Even then on the processing side, I feel like the whole system should be Genlockable. And so we put A6000 GPUs in all of our systems and included Genlock generator in all of our systems, so we can Genlock the whole entire system. It comes with camera tracking out of the box. Basically, we just feel like there's just these core things virtual production should have. And so this is almost like a great foundational point to get into virtual production. If you want to expand and add some more media servers, you can. If you want to integrate a robot to it, you can. If you want to use nerfs or Gaussian splash, you can. If you just want to do 2D plates, you can. It's a very flexible system, but again, very, very simple and very quick to install and get going.
Yeah, what I've enjoyed working with you over the last couple of years is learning about nerfs, learning about splats, all these things that most people just haven't heard of or don't even know what it means. So when people are looking to potentially, build, implement, purchase a small virtual production volume like this, are there any tips and tricks or maybe recommendations as far as the process goes that you'd recommend for people to think about what their needs are?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. What is your needs? Who's your audience? A big target for us is more in-house agencies at corporations. And again, there's 1,000 benefits for that. We just got done doing a demo with Inspire Brands, who owns Arby's, Jimmy John's, Dunkin' Donuts, Buffalo Wings, and many more. And so we're able to go in the studio, and in one day they could do a photo and video shoot for all their brands in one spot, which saves a ton of time, a ton of money, and gives a lot more flexibility on the creativity side. It's great for high-level executives where their time costs a lot of money. So if they can pop down the studio, sit in front of one of their walls, shoot 6 different videos in 6 locations, knock it out. I mean, that alone is worth it. A buddy of mine's company, they own Masterbuilt Grills. And let's say they develop a new grill in November. They want to do a spring release, but for grills, it's more about the spring, warm seasons. So they're kind of in a hard place if they want to shoot their grills in those environments. But if they can just pop in their studio, put their grills in any environment where it's springtime, golden hour, 24/7, there's just so much value to corporations incorporating this stuff. And we still do custom builds for studios as well. I think on the studio side, if you are a studio, it's just figuring out who is your audience. You don't want to get a massive wall and very expensive panels, but then you have to charge the day rate that then your audience can't pay for. And so for our studio at Form Studios, we wanted to have a wall that fits your everyday production. And so for us, our wall is about $10,000 a day. And because of that, our wall, it's a 30 foot by 10 foot LED wall. If we went, to 50 or 60 feet by 14, I feel like the day rate just gets a little too high, and then a lot of people can't really use it. And right now, we just want to try to introduce as many people to this technology. So we want to try to eliminate as many barriers as possible. Just get people in the door, get their hands on it, and just show them really how much this adds to the production.
And I know that, one of the things we talked about before is that during the pandemic, some of these companies built these massive volumes, thinking that that's the future. But the reality is the future is these smaller volumes. Whether it's corporate, whether it's education, a lot of internal utilization by companies. So for Form, when you're working with groups like that, whether it's education or corporate, where do you see things going as far as their utilization, relating back to you guys prepackaging things? Specifically, are people going to need to hire operators, or can they be trained by, let's say, your team to utilize it internally by themselves?
I mean, generative AI is a big thing that a lot of people are using for more of your 2D content, which with these size walls, you're not really getting like a lot of camera movement. So I think what's being used for, I think generative AI is great for it. We talked about NERSC and G-Splats a little bit. That's huge because you can go in and scan or capture environment and basically get a 3D output of it. So it's basically, it's like a plate, but you get the flexibility of having camera tracking where we can move about the space, still have parallax, and your perspective is always correct. And so it makes sense too, because it's a photorealistic copy of an actual environment. And so for, we have Cox Communications coming here soon, and they have some scans of their stores. They want a photocopy of their store that they can now just bring into their studio here in Atlanta, and now they can shoot in 5 different stores across the country just at their space in Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, you have some people that have, I think, bigger teams that could get into these more custom environments with Unreal Engine. It is something that we also can support as well. What's great is as this technology progresses, there's a lot more like remote workflows. In our studio here, one of my main ops lives in Asheville, a few hours away. And so we can basically take a camera feed from the actual camera in the studio, send that to him so he has the in-camera feed. We have cameras around the studio so you can see a production wide. Then he has remote access to the computer. So it is something where if a client doesn't want to hire on full-time staff, they can basically just bring us on. We can either come in person or we can just remote in and operate it that way. So there are a lot of different options when you want to get into more these like deeper customized kind of things.
Now, one of the other things that we talked about is, we both heard horror stories that during the pandemic, people just bought Chinese direct panels and they really got burned because when you look at LED display panels, there's cost, and then there's performance and utilization. Some of these panels just don't look great on camera. So what would be some of your recommendations to people that are looking to purchase panels to look for?
I think the big thing is doing a camera test. I think your eye perceives it a lot different than a camera perceives it. And I mean, a lot of this technology first came from live events where it mainly is a person viewing it themselves and not through a camera sensor. And yeah, I mean, we've been talking about price and performance again, which is why I love the UPad 4 series. But yeah, I mean, scan rate, refresh rate is a big one. But even when you look on paper, I've seen panels where on paper they look great, and you get them in person and they don't really deliver as well as you think they would. So there's places like our studio where we do in-person demos and actually see it in person. And I think it just helps you kind of really understand how the system works as a whole. So definitely, I think you just need to see it in person and get a demo in person, which is something that we do. We're not trying to like plug ourselves, but definitely, if you want to see it in person, we have our studio here with multiple different size LED walls at different sizes and scales and stuff like that. So you need to see it in person.
You bring up a really good point in regards to specs on paper versus reality. We've all seen people that claim, this spec at this price, and it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem plausible that you could get a panel at this cost with these specs.
Yeah.
So as you said, doing a camera test, seeing it in person is critical. And I know that you're working with a client right now and you're coming down to Unilumin's Experience Center down in Orlando next week to actually do a camera test on a couple different panels. So
which again is huge by working with companies that have a U.S. presence. Right. Because hey, there's a panel where, I'm 99% sure it should work, but I just need to go see it in person. And I now just hop on a flight to Orlando and do a camera test in person. And it makes it where I can guarantee to my client, this will for sure work, versus just saying like, oh yeah, in paper, it should work. I can say, no, this, I've shot on it. Here's camera test. It does work.
And one of the things I've really enjoyed about working with you and your team at Form is, in addition to a partnership, it's a lot of times it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
Where we're helping you, you're helping us, and it's really to promote what these displays can do and have mutual benefits to both organizations.
Yeah, education is huge, and that's one of our main pillars here is education. I mean, there's no point of having a studio with this cool technology if nobody knows how to use it. I think because we've been in it for years, we would assume a lot of people know about this technology, but I'll host workshops with high school students and I'll ask them, you think of all people, high school and college students would know about the latest technology in this industry. I'll ask them, hey, who here's seen LED walls and this technology? And it might be 2 kids will raise their hand. And, if college students don't know about, then more than likely these people in these big agencies that have been, in it for a long time, they probably have no idea. And so we're all about doing workshops, trying to get people in the doors, showing them it being used in like a practical scenario. Free content on YouTube, again, showing the practical ways of using this technology. And so I feel like that's where our partnership's been great, is on the educational side. And that's been a huge push for us the last few years.
I'm glad you brought up the educational side because, people can come in, they can see us and be like, well, that's so cool. Yeah. But one of the things that you guys are doing is demonstrating to people, here's the utilization, here's how it's going to benefit you, here's how it's going to save you money, here's how it's going to save you time, and that whatever their workflow is, this is going to make it easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we touched on that a little bit. I think with Inspire, how that helps save them time, them owning multiple brands and show those brands in one location. You have somebody like high-level executives, and you shoot all these like company videos, and you just go there on studio, shoot 6 videos real quick. Or if you have a company with a product, you can basically shoot that product in many different locations all in one day. Then on the education side, we're really trying to equip universities with this technology. I think, honestly, I think at some point every university is going to have a LED wall. I think one just adds a lot of flexibility for teaching. Typically students are they have maybe a psych wall and some set flats. It's a little limiting on what they can create, where, with this technology, they can really shoot in any location. Really, it just opens up their imagination and creativity a lot more, having this technology out of the university. And what's great is then when these students then graduate from the university and they've used this technology, they then know how to implement this into the next agency they go work for. And so, it's a long-term play, but it's definitely needed now. So then the next, 3 to 5 years, this becomes more common in the workplace.
That's great. That's great. Well, Sean, it has been a pleasure coming down here today and spending time with you and your team at Form. I always enjoy my visits, always learn so much. And, the rest of the day, I'm going to watch you interact with a lot of your clients. And to me, that's the fun part, to see all the magic come together. So thank you again for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.